as he ought to be? Does truth become stale? All right, so yeah, I'm sure you heard the news. Former military President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, popularly known as IBB, said that the late Bashoru Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO Abiola, that he won the 12th June 1993 presidential election. Of course, the June 12 election has been a heated topic in Nigeria. And there are several accounts of the events by different parties. Different groups will come up and they will tell you their own part, and we know what has been happening or what the conversations around this particular event has been. But then, in his autobiography titled A Journey in Service, which was launched in Abuja yesterday, Thursday, and was reviewed by former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the former Nigerian leader said he was convinced that Abiola won the 12th June 1993 presidential election. This is year 2025. He didn't say this thing many years ago, when perhaps some people would have found it relevant. I've heard different people talk about this particular issue. Analysts talk about it. Some even said, this is like Tales by Moonlight. Why are you bringing this thing up again? And some others were like, we know now, like, it's not as if you said anything that is special or anything that is new. But then there's something about when a person who is being looked at as maybe chief witness of a particular event. You're expecting that, okay, everybody is saying whatever they're saying, but the one that comes from that particular person, there's this kind of weight it carries. It's like when someone is called a prime suspect, and then the person has been arrested, and for whatever reason, they just refuse to talk. You ask the police will do everything they can. The person will maintain a particular story. And their story may be, I'm not aware, or I don't know what happened. And that's what a prime suspect has been saying. And everybody thinks, no matter what every other person has been saying, this person, he should know. And then the person keeps saying, I don't know what happened. Even if some other person comes and gives a different account and gives an account that sounds like, okay, it's close to what may have happened, all eyes will still be on this one person. But then, after people have moved on, someone you offend or someone offends you, and you have moved on, it's been perhaps a decade, 10 years have passed, or more than 10 years have passed, and it's something you're no longer thinking about. Like, you don't really readily bring it up in any conversation, in any discussion. It's not something that readily comes to mind. You have moved on. And then the person shows up someday and says, I want to confess. I want to tell the truth. Now, this brings me to yet another angle to, confessions. There's something called closure. When you hear a story of someone maybe has been kidnapped and the family, they keep asking for, at least reach out to us and ask and say something. Even if it means to pay a ransom, but release the person to us. And there have been cases where they would say, oh, the person has been killed. They would say, okay, fine, bring the person's body. But then they never get to see the person's body. And then there's a lot of what ifs in the mind of this person's loved ones. There's a lot of what if, could it be? Is it possible that? So what is closure for a family after maybe the mysterious death or disappearance of a loved one in light of this, really? So if someone comes up after 20, 30 years of the disappearance of their loved one or the death of their loved one, and they're not able to tell what really happened. And then someone shows up 30 years down the line, or even 40, and says, this is what happened. Does truth become stale? That's still the question I'm asking. Let's talk. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0002, and 0817-923-0003. Now, you do me a favor. And the favor you're going to do me is, we're not discussing IBB. I'm not discussing, that's not my primary conversation. I like to expand conversations, all right? So even if you're going to talk about that, don't dwell on it, all right? Let's have a broader conversation. Send a message via WhatsApp to 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. What's your name?
I'm Adi Patrick. I'm calling from my here.
All right, please go on.
Yes, confession. To me, as you ask, it's a truth, not a fresh one. That if a truth come up, is it not fresh? To me, I would say it is a medicine after death. Because when that truth was supposed to be useful, it did not come up that time. But it is useful to make people learn a lesson in case of another time. But I would say it is medicine after death. Because when that truth was supposed to come out, that truth did not come out that time. It is medicine after death. That's what I have to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. So what do you think, though? Can truth become stale? He says, well, yes, if it was not said at the time, it was still fresh in people's memories. At the time, it would have become relevant or pretty useful. But for relevance, he still says, when the truth comes out, it is fresh. That's when the truth came out. So it is still fresh at that time. So it may not necessarily fix what had gone bad, but it could be a learning curve. It could serve as a learning curve for the next people. All right. And in light of, this conversation about confession and truth, remember I'm also asking what closure is, right? So if you're saying, yes, truth can become stale, but then, what then is closure? Especially for the example I gave. A loved one died many years ago, and nobody could tell what led to their death. And maybe the person disappeared. Nobody could tell where this person went to. What happened? And then after 30 years, after maybe 40 years, a good number of those who were aware, who were directly hit by, what happened, may not even be alive anymore. Or if they are alive, they have actually moved on. Would it still amount to closure for them if someone shows up to say, this is what happened 40 years down the line? Does truth become stale? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0007, and 0817-923-0003. All right, I'm taking messages on WhatsApp, so please type and send yours right now to 0809-030-6416. Ojo from Onelga, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, it's good for the truth to prevail like this. Babangida is a leader, a president in Nigeria.
Was.
Then when he was the one that conducted the election. And then he's also the one that annoyed the election. The person that won the election, that Nigeria voted for free and fair election, the best election in the country so far. He annoyed the election. They killed the man, also killed the wife. It is God Almighty that will judge Babangida. And Babangida will not be set free.
Uncle Ojo, what is happening?
Yes, I'm telling you.
Hold on. Want to carry me to where I don't know.
See,
what happened?
I'm telling the truth.
No, it's not the truth. I don't agree with your own. Which one is they kill him? Who is the day? Thank God you did not mention names. But this one you're saying that God will not forgive. Are you God's assistant secretary financial, okay, maybe
hearing
secretary advisor.
Are you hearing me? Babangida is one that killed Abiola.
Uncle Ojo, God bless you. But please try. Some conversations are better had in beer parlor, not on radio. I always like to say that, right? Yeah, there are things you don't come and say on radio. Even on your social media platform, you say it's my social media, it's my space. There are some things you should not go and post there. Freedom of expression has limitation. He who has an ear, let him hear. Wisdom is profitable to direct. Mr. Ojo from Onelga. You're not living in the moon. Hello, Chinke Daniel from Imogate Ozwako. Welcome.
Thank you, my sister Mega. What happened is that if one can confess and maybe he's the perpetrator of the crime, confess, and then if compensation has to be made in terms of property, then lot of loss of life, there's nothing that person can do about it. Then I think it will be a kind of, would I say, it's welcome development. But let me tell you, my sister concern, there are some of those things you will now say, it will not bring, if it is in a family, it will not bring more problem in the family, because by then everything must have been settled down, and then such confession may now revoke them again, and somebody, brother, sister, will ignite the problem once again. So, in terms of that of Evans, please let him not negotiate. What is he going to pay? Something he collected from the people? Can he pay all that he collected from the people? So, let that man, his own confession, his own apology, for me, is not accepted as far as I am concerned. He can't even pay what he collected from the people, not even to talk about life. So he should remain there. Or else, everybody in the Nigerian, what do they call it now? Correctional what?
Center.
Yes, let them release everybody. Because he made money. Some people now want to collect from that money he made. If they release him, let every other person in the prison or whatever they call it confess, so that they will release everybody. Chinke Daniel Imogeto Zwako.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so in case someone just tuned in and the person is hearing Chinke Daniel talk about Evans, we're not discussing Evans the kidnapper. What we're discussing, let me check something before I continue what I'm saying. All right, so what we're discussing is relevance of a confession after an offended person has moved on. And I'm hinging this on the IBB confession yesterday that, yeah, he knew that MPO Abiola won the 12th June 1993 presidential election. And I told you that some analysts have called it irrelevant. And some have said that what he's sharing is like tales by moonlight. Some others say, you said nothing new. And some others are like, what are you saying? You should have said this many years ago when it would have made sense, not today. And so I'm asking, does truth become stale? And what is closure? Hello? Real Gift from PH Town. Welcome.
Good afternoon to you, my lady.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. We are told in my community that it doesn't matter the size of your head, big or small. You must use it to wear your cap, because you can't wear your cap on your shoulder. And that is for the former head of state. Forget about military president issue. The thing is this, I agree with you. Confession is stale. Because as at that time when it is needed, the confession no come. And like in this case, 32 years after, what is the relevance of the confession? On the other hand, let's look at it this way. Let's assume, my lady, that your confession is to save my life. And then you knew the truth, you kept quiet, and then they don't catch me go. You understand my point now? Because I use myself as an example, I don't want to call that side.
You understand my point, my lady?
I understand.
Then, after how many years, he can't go tell my wife or my children with day. Say that thing will be happen that time. They do this on her father hand, not been there inside though. At that point in time, is it to open up a whole wound or to cause enmity between yourself or your family and my family? So confession, when not used at the point it is needed for me, which is truth now, is stale. And I agree with that comment. On closure, if it has to do with death, definitely seeing the cause or know the cause what might be close to some persons. To some persons, those persons are maybe God's judgment. That's my list. Thank you very much this afternoon.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. Mr. Zion, are you still there? Welcome, please.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I don't think the fact of who those things that say that and made them great men. Or that they say that one day it was like there's one day. I just have my experience kind of work so today itself. The confession or is dead or event. Oh, I think I can celebrate our governor now. He said that events are overtaking.
Right, thank you. Apologies. We have to go now for the news. And immediately after the news, I'll read the messages I have here before the interview that will come up at 10 minutes past 10. Just stay tuned.